current Daf Mesechtes Kidushin Daf Yomi begins 7 lines down at the top of the Yomid, where the Gemara continues explaining the halacha of our Mishnah. We started the third Mishnah in this Mesechta, where we're talking about the kinyan of an individual, a person. First Mishnah, like we said, was the Isha. Second one was Eved Ibri. Third one was Eved Kanani. And we spoke about how you acquired Eved Kanani and how the Eved Kanani goes free himself. So now the Gemara is going to elaborate on the machlekes in our Mishnah, which actually inversely related machlekes Rameir Chachamim. How could an Eved Kanani acquire himself as it applies to the kinyan of Kesef and to the kinyan of Shtar? I'm sure if corresponds to Kazakh and Cheskot turning to Daf Chaim. Krishna during today's Daf. So I'm discussing today's Daf, or like we said, the machlekes Rameir Chachamim regarding, first of all, Shtar, others receiving the document of emancipation for the Eved Kanani. Then, regarding the Kesef the Atzmai, if the Eved Kanani could receive the money, could use the money himself to redeem himself, or do you say that no, he doesn't have any money because whatever he has belongs to his master? What's the Kesef the Acher? Could other people go and give money to the master to redeem him? And what's with Bishtar the Atzmai? What's with him receiving a document himself? So essentially, the two cases of Kesef and Shtar, we have a discussion regarding himself and regarding others, which that relates to some of the ideas of Zachal Adam Shlem regarding, do we say that it's a merit for a person even without his awareness, but we have to clarify and qualify if this is considered schos. And the machlekes Rameir Chachamim regarding Yesh Kinyan le'Eved b'lei Rabbi. Does an Eved have the ability to have an acquisition without his master owning that? So how could the Eved himself ever go and redeem himself with money? Does he ever have an ability to even own money? And the concept of Gita v'Yod Morin Ka'echad, is it really possible for the slave himself to receive the document of emancipation? Or do you say it's like the master giving it from his right hand to his left hand, because the Eved Kanani, whatever he has, belongs to the master? Or do you say no, that his hand, which gives him the ability to receive, is going to be at the same moment that he gets to get, so in the same moment that he gets it, he has his own hand, and then it can be released from his master. To begin the current Daf, Daf Gimel, several lines down at the top of the Yomid, the Mishnah had said, a machlekes. This is going on the words of Rameir. So in complete, the Mishnah had said that the opinion of Rameir is that he could acquire himself with money through others, and meaning when others give money to his master to release him, and a shtar by himself. Chum said the exact opposite. They said no, by money by himself, and by shtar through others. It's just that the money has to be from others, but the money is done by the Eved himself. That was the inverse machlekes Rameir Chachamim in our Mishnah. So now the Gemara goes to explain and asks the following question on Rameir. So from Rameir we see that Bekesef al yidei acheirim in, and you really have to have a couple there because it's many details in the same halacha, 3 different opinions. So you just have to keep track. It's not difficult, but it's going to be tracked. Bekesef al yidei acheirim. You're telling me that according to Meir, when others give money to his master yes, then he's going to be redeemed. But as our Mishnah said clearly, meaning from the inference, that if he gives his master money to redeem himself, he's not going to be redeemed. Why would that be? Because of the concept of Masha Kon Eved Kon Rabbi. Whatever the slave owns, the master owns. So he can't redeem himself with money. You don't have money. Other people who have their own money could give his master money to redeem him. Fine. That seems simple enough. But says the Gemara, B'maya Schema. What is this case talking about when we're saying that he acquires himself through others, that the others are going to redeem him? What's the case? What's the question? So the Gemara explains. If you think it's without the awareness of the slave, meaning it's not with his intention, without his consent, let's say, Mechti, let's see. Whose opinion are we discussing now? We're discussing the opinion of Rameir. Shemana Rameir, we know Rameir holds. The Amar he says in the first parak of Gittin, it's actually a liability for the slave to go free from his master. Why? Because if he's, let's say, the Eved of a Kohen, he can't have Truma anymore. If he's Eved of Yisrael, he's not going to be able to be with a Shivcha anymore, which is much more preferred, for at least a Goy mentality, to have this woman who's free and open, and you can do whatever you want. So, Rameir specifically holds, it's a chayiv for a slave to go free. Now, The problem is, it's Nina, we learned that Zachin Adam Shalei B'fan. You can merit a person without his awareness. But the Ein Chav, you cannot create a liability. Ella B'fan of only with his awareness. So you cannot become a shliach of a person without his das for something that's a liability or a loss. So how could your mayor say in our Mishnah that this slave is going to be redeemed through others when they give money without his awareness, but he holds it's a chayiv, and you can't create a chayiv shalei b'fanav. So elo pshita, so we're leading up to the point, obviously you can't say it's shalei midaitai, must be midaitai. Now if you're going to say, wait a second, if it was midaitai, so what's the chiddush? I mean, why can't another person give $1,000 to redeem this Evet Kanani? Says, hey, you want to go free? Says, yeah. Go ahead and do it. So what would be the chiddush in there? Why would you think it wouldn't work that he had to say that in the Mishnah? Oh, Bakam Hashmalan. And what it's teaching us is the diuk. It's only teaching us, through others, yes, that's a good street. But through himself, not. What does that teach us? Alma in Kinyan Lev, because Yemeya holds there's no tzad, there's no ability ever for a slave to have money without his master. And that's what the Chiddush is teaching us, that it could only be through others. You're right, there's no Chiddush in that. Chiddush is, but he himself can never redeem himself with money, because you never have a situation where you ever get money yourself. Okay, the problem is, Ihachi Ema Sefer. There's two halachas mentioned in Reb Meir's opinion. Because there's two ways an Evet Kanani can acquire himself. There's Kesef and the Shtar. Kesef, he said, is specifically Adi. When he talks about Bishtar, he says, but by the document, which is a get, shiur, when he goes free, is Adi Atzmai. Is only when he himself receives it. Wait a second. The dig is Adi Atzmai, only through himself, Adi Atzmai, but others cannot go ahead and receive it for him. We just proved that it's talking about with the other person is with his awareness. So obviously he told this other person, hey, receive my get from me. So the question is, then why wouldn't it work through someone else? Why can't he make the guy a shliach to receive the get shech? Okay, so that's difficult. So something about, I'll tell you how to get out of it. Maybe you're going to say, maya de atzmai. What did Remeir mean when he said that by shtar is through himself? He didn't mean only by himself. He just meant afay de atzmai, even by himself. Because in the first halacha, when we said through others, kesef, that was specifically through others and not through himself. So he's talking about shtar. Even though by kesef you said that you can't do it yourself, by shtar it's no, even by himself. And what's the chiddush in that? Welcome Ashmalan. And there is a chiddush over here. You're teaching the Gita B'Yod going Ke'achad. Because you would say, wait a second, just like money, he can't go ahead and redeem himself because he has nothing of his own. So you can't be divorced either from your master by receiving the shtar because it's going from the rechte hand to the linke hand. You're the hand of the master. So it's a chiddush. The chiddush is that the get and the hand come at the same time. And that we don't say that the master never had the get leave his domain and that there's no considered any receipt of a get. Okay. That would be a good answer. The problem says the Gemara, but we don't. Our brisa, there's a brisa that doesn't say like this. Because the Tanya brisa says it clearly that when your mayor said bishtar al de atzma, it wasn't afal de atzma like we tried to answer. It's clearly veloy al de achenim. The mayor, the brisa says clearly that it's only by himself and not by others. The question then begs, then why? You just proved from the ratio of the kasef that it must be talking about midaitai. Because if we're shleim midaitai, how could you go? Others people do it. It's a chayiv. It ain't chavaladim shleim b'fanav. Must be midaitai. So how do we understand this halacha b'shtar? Why is it le'atzmai? Why can't you tell someone else to? And then you can't say afid atzmai because the Bible says clearly it's only through him and not through someone else. So Abaya answers like this. Lo'ilam, the truth is shaloi midaitai, that the halacha of the shtar and the kesef, when others are doing it, is without its awareness. Okay, so we understand why shtar wouldn't work, because you can't be chayiv for a person shalei b'fanav. So how do we understand that kesef will work on the chayiv without his das? It's a chayiv. No, shani kesef. Money is different. Why is it different? Ha'il v'kani lei. Bal Karche, since he acquires the slave against his will, Makni le Bal Karche, so he can acquire him back to himself also forcibly. So it's a comparison of the kinyan of Kesef to the way he brings him in is the way he sends him out. Just like the way he could acquire him against his will, he's a slave, he could buy him like cattle. So you can knock it to him, to himself also Bal Karche. I mean,
didn't we say before that the Eved becomes an Eved as a shiur? So that's why he was able to acquire him.
To become an Eved is a schus. I hear, but even if so, the Gemara seems to say that since it could do Bal Karche, but I'm saying in other words, if you're buying a slave, he has no choice in the matter. So to be makneh to him, you have to know if this what exactly this floor is. This is what to say about that. It's similar to what the Gemara might say later that
Obviously, it's overruling the chok leverage.
Right. It's not exactly not because really it's avoiding the problem because it's not really freeing him. It's really a story Gemara's going to say later. I mean, if I want, I could buy you against your will. Right? You're a slave. I could buy you from your master now, right? And that you would have no choice in that. So then I could also be marking you to yourself, Bal Karche too. So in other words, it's not that you have. It's not like I'm not because of a chavin la'adam shleib avadim. Everything is chayv. If your creditor comes to collect from you, it's also chayv. He could do that shleib avadim because he has a recht. He has a right to do it. Here I can buy you, so I can also be marking you. It's like almost like a migu, almost like I have the ability to do this with my money. So because of that. That's why I could just as well also give yourself to you. I could buy you to me. I could give you to you. I have the ability to do this. So the Gemara says, so why didn't you say the same thing regarding document? You could also buy a slave or a shtar. So why didn't you say the same thing? He could also be makna him to himself to free him with the shtar. Says the Gemara, no, but hay shtar l'chud, hay shtar l'chud. You can't bring one document to the other. They're different. One is a terminology of acquiring, and one's a terminology of emancipation. So you can't say because the shtar could do it, that's a different shtar. So he goes, well, there's also different monies. One's given to buy him, one's given to free him. So what are you bringing from the fact that you can use money to buy to free him if you differentiate by shtar? The Gemara says, no, but tiva miyachad. But the coin is the same coin. You can't recognize anything on the dollar bills. It's the same, the medium stays the same. The purpose changes. But since I could use the money to buy you, I could use the money to be marking you to yourself to free you. That's one shot. Rav Amar, he says a different shot, which is really similar to what I was answering before. He says, Kesef, regarding money, there, Kabbalah's Rabbi Garmalai. It's actually the master receiving it that causes him to be freed by default. And it's not like these other people are creating a liability. It's the master receiving it. And the master's not his agent. He's doing it for himself. And then he becomes acquired by default. But when you do the emancipation of a shtar, Kabbalah Tzachim Garmalai, it's the receiving of others that causes. And since it's a liability, you cannot do a liability without the person's awareness. It's functioning in different ways, essentially. That's similar to what I think you could say for the Migu before, but it's a different answer the Gemara is giving, that when you're freeing him by giving money to the master, you're not freeing him. I'm not doing it for you. The master receiving it. The master receiving it is doing it for his own purposes. So then you automatically go free. But by the shtar, it's the guy who's receiving it who creates the emancipation. You can't receive it. That's a chayv for the meaning because the master can free him whenever he wants to. But this other person who lets you do this chayv, and therefore that's why there's a difference between the case of shtar and that of kesef.
Why? Because the other person is a shliach Kabbalah. The master's not a shliach Kabbalah.
Right, yeah.
Why Masha Kana Eved Kana Bala? Is it that's a good plow when he's an Eved, but when it's time for his own emancipation, why isn't there a Manda Amar that says that that's an exception? Clearly, he's not trying to get his shtar chayers for his master. It's an exception.
Right, that's probably the concept of Gita B'Yod B'Yod. That is the concept of that you get and your hand comes at the same time, because or else how does it work? How could you become free if you're still part of your hand is considered your master?
So why is it Gemara just leave it according to Rabbi Meir that we accept his shita, that the Eved is ultimately not able to get his own star?
And Remeir says you could receive your own shtar, because Gita B'Yod B'Yod.
I
The
thought it was-
Chacham, we're going to see in a second what they hold. They say seemingly not like that. That's the next point we're getting to right now. Remeir says a shtar you can receive yourself. Kesef has to be through others, and shtar is by yourself. And we said that shtar cannot be through others because ein chavon la'adam shlei b'fanav. Kesef could work through others because even though ein chavon, the Gemara gave two answers, essentially saying that either because money works to be kindness, so it could be used to be makna, or because that it's the kabbalah's rabbi is gromel. It's not me, the person that's redeeming that's being chayiv. It's the master receiving the money. Therefore, by default, you go free. Versus shtar, that you can't do because that's going to be chavon la'adam shlei b'fanav. The next opinion was v'chachamim. They said the kesef adi atzma. They held seemingly the exact opposite. They said money is through the slave himself. Shtar was through others. So if you read the Mishnah simply, it sounds the exact opposite of Remeir. But says the Gemara, the kesef adi atzmayin. So it sounds like from the Chacham, okay, the slave himself can redeem himself with his own money. But if others go and give money to the master, no, he cannot go free that way. Says the Gemara, why? Nami, even if you're going to say, as we had said, like Remeir, that we're talking about the shalom midaita. Let's say it's talking about, meaning if it was midaita, then for sure we would have a difficulty. Why wouldn't it work through acher? He's asking him, please give money for me. Zichr, it should work. But even if you're going to say the way we said Remeir, that's talking about that there's other guys giving money without the awareness of this Eved, so maybe you would understand to say, oh, that's what they hold, that it could only work when he gives it himself. But if others give, it's not going to work it. But it's not true. Because Mechti, let's see, Shemanu, the Rabban Amri, we heard the Rabban that they said in the beginning of the Masechet Gittin Daf Yomi on the base. The opposite of a mayor, they hold Zchusu Shiyot to the Tachas Yad Rabbi Lecheris. They hold for a slave to go free is a Zchus, becoming a Yid. What could be better than becoming a Yid to be free? V'tanina, and we learned in the Mishnah, Zach and Adam Shaloi B'Fanav. You can marry the person even without his awareness. And you cannot create a liability only in front of him. So why would the Chacham say that others cannot give money? Even if you talk about Shalom Midaita, they hold it's a schus. And you can be Zachar Shalom B'Fanav, so why can't others do it? V'chitem, if you're going to say, oh, no, it's not difficult. What did the Chacham mean when they said money is through himself? It means afa de atzma. It means also through himself. But zicha, others could do it because zachan la'adam shlei b'fanav. So wait, but kamashma, what would the chiddush be? What do you mean by himself? What's the chiddush by himself? Why can't he do it by himself? No, the chiddush is the yishkin li'ebed. Of course, there's a chiddush, and that's actually not like Remeir. That you could say that an Eved could have a kinyan if others gave it to him on the condition that it should be below Rabbi, that his master doesn't have permission to utilize it. And that's the chiddush. But it's not only him, it's others and even him. If that's the case, wait a second. Ema Sefer. Then look at the next part of the halacha. They said, Bishtar, when it comes to a document, that's only through others. Below the atzmai, and not through himself. The problem is, what we know, in other words, what this means, like Rashi says, is that it's ma'asim b'chol yom. It happens daily, that the gita v'yada goin ke'acha, meaning we find that slaves receive their get and they become emancipated. If the Rabbanan disagree on this halacha and they hold that a shtar is only through others and not through their own selves, we leave the Rabbanan and we do like a mayor. How do we understand how you're saying that when you say the halacha of shtar is al de'acherim, which means now the atzboy, but that means to say when every slave that they see in the times of the Gemara, people going free as slaves because they got the get, that would be nalik techachamim. We wouldn't pass them like a das yachid. That's how Rashi explains. Says the Gemara, Bechitim, if you're going to say, oh, no problem. What does it mean that the shtar is through others? It means that even through others, meaning even without his consent. But yes, Zecher himself, because and therefore that would be according to even the Rabbanan. But and Vakamashma, what would it be teaching us? This chus to the evet to be is that it's a merit for him to go free, and therefore that's why it could be through others. If that's what you're going to say, that what the Chachamim mean, the Acherim, is even through himself, and this is really what the whole Gemara was leading up to with this question, because what was the Gemara saying? Ihachi, say, what's the Ihachi? It sounded like an independent question. No, Ihachi now, this is the question, then, Nirvina ben Ninu. You know what you just did now? When you said the Chacham's opinion, which sounded like the inverse of a mayor, which Kesef is only by yourself, not through others. Shtar is only through others, not through yourself. You know what you just did right now? You actually said that they both work for both. You just said af and af. So then they say them together. You should take the Kesef of the Shtar, the Chacham hold that the Eved could go free with money and document, whether through others, whether through himself. What are they saying? Kesef of the Atzmei, Shtar Dechem, when they really hold both for both. It's just that saying even through himself for Kesef and even through others with Shtar, and we're teaching you that Chiddush. Okay, but then say them together. So rather says the Gemara, you're right. The way it can't be, because then you would have said them both together. But Kesef, regarding money the Chacham hold, whether through himself, whether through others. So why did we say because of the Asma? That we said that even through himself, and that was a chiddush to say, because that was exactly, the mayor actually disagrees on that, and that was a chiddush. It was saying to know that the Eved could have money if someone gave it to him, Amanas that the Nas doesn't have. But Bishtar, you're right, but it's done through a document, it's actually only through others and not through himself. How's that possible? Well, through others we said it's because it's a schus. Why can't he receive it himself? Because Rabbi Shimon ben Elazar, who the Seifa, regarding the case of Ishtar, he doesn't hold of Gita b'yoda b'en ke'echad. Who is this Rabbi Shimon ben Elazar? Telling them Brisa. Shimon ben Elazar says, Af b'Ishtar, even with a document, Yachem, and only through others of Allah, not through himself. It says the Gemara b'sholosh machlokes b'davar, and there's a three-way machlokes regarding this halacha, which is the preferred interpretation of Rashi, which was the first one. He says like this: the mayor holds, when it comes to money, that through others could work even shaloi midaitai, and not through himself. Now, the reason why we said it'll work by other shaloi midaitai and not by himself is because there's no kinyan for, meaning, we said for the kesef, although it's a chayv according to Meir, we said the reason why it's going to work is because of, it's the Kabbalah's Rabbi Garmala. But by himself, it won't work because there's no kinyan for an ever without his rabbi, so he can never have the money to redeem himself. That was regarding kesef. Now, regarding shtar, through himself, but not through others, like we said, it's talking about shalom midaitai, because it's a chayv. And since it's a chayv, others can't do it. And he himself has gita b'yod b'ren ke'achad, but again, in contrast to money, although it's a chayv, it's the master receiving that causes it, and it's not really considered chav and odom shalei b'fam. That's according to Remeir. Now, Shimon Elazar, he holds that both by kesef and by shtar, that through others it works, because he holds it's a schus for him to go through. So zachan odom shalei b'fam will work by kesef and by shtar, but not by himself. Why not? Because by money he holds the Eved will never have a king without his master. He doesn't have any money, so he cannot redeem himself. And by shtar, he doesn't hold the Gita b'yod b'en ke'echad. As Rashi proves, because the words of Shimon Elazar was, that we just quoted this moment, was af b'shtar, also by shtar, is only through Achem and not by himself. What's af b'shtar? It means for sure by money. So you see, by both he holds that it's only going to be working by someone else and not by himself. The Rabbanan of the Mishnah, they hold that with money is both through others and through himself, because there is a kinyan that other people have to give him, and it's also a schus for him, so he could do it and others could do it. And through to by shtar is both by others and by him, because By others, it's going to work because it's a schus. And by him, it's because Gita b'yad boin ke'echad. Which therefore that comes out that when we do that all the time, that's like Dirabanan. I said, the question is, according to the Chachamim, why didn't we say together if they hold both as both? So that says Rashi, that's because the Seifa, which is Rabbi Shimon Elazar, who holds that by shtar it's dafka through others, that's why they didn't put it together, because Rabbi Shimon Elazar disagrees regarding shtar. But the Reisha, what the Rabbanan were telling Reb Meir was, you're right, not just bekesef al atzmai, there's a af bekesef al atzmai, meaning that there's a kinyan for the Eved, but for sure it's going to work through others because it's chusulai, and for sure the same thing would apply to shtar because of gita b'yad going to echad, and that others could go ahead and do it also because it's a slus, and therefore that's the three-way machlekes that we have regarding this halacha of how does it work for the Eved to go free with kesef and with shtar. Like I said, it's not so complex, it's just a lot of different details to keep track of who says what in this halacha. Now the Gemara explains, Amar Rabbi says, my time Rabbi Shimon Elazar, what's the reason Rabbi Shimon Elazar that he says that, interestingly, that the Eved could free himself with money, but he cannot free himself with the shtar, he cannot free himself. What would be the reason for that halacha? So that says the Gemara, Gama lo lami isha. Well, even if he doesn't hold actually by money, no, he doesn't hold it, he can do it because he doesn't have a kinyan without his master. Fine, that's because he doesn't have money. But why by shtar shouldn't it work? Why can't he receive his shtar? So Gama lo lami isha, he says you learn Gzer Shava from isha. What do we see by isha? So ma isha, just like by woman, because both of them say the word law. It says because of law increases, it says the chuf shel law. So ma isha is like a woman actually to get lo shoshein shaloi. When the husband is divorcing his wife, it says in the pasuk benasam biyada, which has to go out from the husband's domain to the wife's domain. And when she gets it, her husband doesn't own her body, so it goes out to a domain that's not his own. That's how she gets free. So to the slave also has to go out till it comes to a domain which is not his, which is not the master's. The problem is, his hand is the master's. So therefore, Shmuel has a hold, you could not emancipate a slave by giving it to the slave's hand itself. You give the shtar to someone else. So it's going to l'shushay n'shloi. But it cannot go to the slave's hand itself. But Rashi explains that Rabbanan, they learn from here, from the same Gezer Shava, a different conclusion. Ma'isha mekabelas gita af eved mekabel gita. So not that l'shush initial rabbi, just like she can receive it. So too the eved who says law, the shivcha could also receive it, and therefore they hold that obviously gita v'yoda is boring ke'echad. Never they disagree with Rabbi Shimon Elazar. Now, Rabbi had the following question as a continuum and base. Rabbi Shimon ben Elazar, according to this Rabbi Shimon ben Elazar that we just said, that the Eved himself cannot receive his get because it's not going out l'shoshay and shaloi, and therefore it's not going to qualify to emancipate him. Yes, someone else can receive it. But so the following question: Eved Kanani, this non-Jewish slave, Ma'oshiyas shliach, could he make an agent l'kabel gita miyad rabbi to receive his get from his master's hand? So what's the question? So the Gemara explains interestingly. On the one hand, even the Gama Lola Meisha, you just told me, as we know, this is Gezer Shava between the Eved and the Isha, the Shif and the Isha. So we'll say Ki Isha, like the woman. Now we know that the woman can make a shlich like a bala, as the Gemara learns out later on the Mem Aleph and Aleph, B'shilcha Mibeisai, that it says it in the feminine B'shilcha that she herself could make a shliach. And that's what it would sound like that Reb Shimon Elazar meant when he was saying al diacher, that the shtar he said could be done through others. Yeah, because the Eved is going to make a shlich to receive it. I didn't maybe know. Maybe Isha the Ihimatzi Mekabelis Gita, maybe a woman who she herself could receive her get, as we said, it's Vinas Miyada. So shlich not Matzah Shavya. So she could also make a shliach, because a shliach is only as much as kamaisa. So since she could do it, she could make a shliach to do it. Eved, the Iyulei Mekabel Gita, but the Eved himself, who he said cannot receive his own get because it's not going out l'shosha in the rabbi, and he doesn't know the begin to be able to go in ke'echad, so you can't receive your own get to get free. So shleich ramadah matzim mashvi. So he can't make a shleich either. So Rashi explains, so wait a second, so what does Rabbi Shimon mean to say that by shtar you could go free when it's going to be alidei acherim? Well, how could you go free when it's alidei acherim, but he can't make a shliach? Oh, that says Rashi. That's either when his master will be mazaka the get him through others, or the others do it without his das, because it's a schus, according to Rabbi Shimon Lazar, for the Eved to go free. So they could do it, but he can't make a shliach because the shliach is, that's the whole shadow, chim tam shlichus, whatever, how does it work? But if you hold it to zachan, so they could do it, the master could do it, but he can't make a shliach because shliach is kamaisa, and you yourself can't do it. So it says the Gemara, after he asked the question, he answered it that yes, we have the Gezer Shava of la la the Isha. It says la by the Isha, it says la by the Shivcha, and therefore it's going to be Ki Isha, and just like the woman can make a Shliach, so too the Eved, the Shivcha, Kananis can make a Shliach to be emancipated, to receive the Shtar. But then says the Gemara, an interesting question based on what we just said. He says, Hani Kahani. The Kahanim, regarding bringing the Karbanis in the Beis HaMikdash, Shluchim de Rachmaniminu. Today's has all discussion, our Gemara seems to assume, and elsewhere the Gemara asks it, but the Gemara tells us that must be the Kahanim are the agents of Hashem, meaning, and not what's called Shluchim de Dan, they're not our agents. Now what's the Nafgemina? It's, let's say someone took a neder saying, I'm not having Hanof in that coin. If the kohen could go ahead and now bring his karbanos, which that's a question the Gemara asked in the Dorim and the Lahaim and Beis. If you say it's Hashem's agent, it's not our agent, so nothing to do with you. They're doing it for Hashem, not working for you. If you say that you're working for you, so then you take an anot, and you know, no, he's not bringing the carbon. Okay. But Rav Kahana says that they're shluchah de Rahman. And he says, I'll prove it to you why. These Sakadat that you think to say shluchah de Danenu, that the Gam are our agents. Is there such a thing? We cannot do the Avda. We are Zavim. We're not Kahanim. And they could do it. Shlich can't be bigger than the guy himself. Must be, if they can't do the Avda, they're Hashem's Shluchim and not our Shlich. Really? Is not the case? We have the case of the Eved Kanani. The he cannot receive his get. And yet, and yet he can make an agent, as we just learned out from Lola Ramesha. So how could Abuna learn out from this reasoning that it's going to be permitted for you to have a carbon from this kohen who you took a net to saying, I'm not having anything from this guy, never, I don't have any, no. And turns out he's your kohen waiting online for you to bring your carbon. Ken's bragging. Why? Because he's Hashem. But if it was yours, he wouldn't be able to. Why not? Why can't he do something that I can't do? Didn't you say by Eved that the shliach can receive it even though he himself cannot receive it? So says the Gemara, no, it's not a good question. Why? Because Yisrael, a Jew, a non-Kohen, has no opportunity ever to do the avodah in the Beis HaMikdash. Can never bring a carbon. So he's not in the category at all. Therefore, yeah, you would not be able to have your shliach do the avodah in the Beis HaMikdash. Must become a shluchah de Rachman and not shluchah de Dan. But Eved Shech Begitin, it's not true. A slave has an application to receive a get if he's not receiving his own get. Because we said he cannot go out, the get has to go out from his master's domain. And when he's receiving it, it's not. But he can receive a get for his friend, who's not a slave of the same master, but from some other lord, because then the get is going to a rishus that's not the master's domain. So he what he's asking Yishlech to do, he could do, just technically here he can't do it. The Tanya, like the Brisa, Nenemat Bam said the Brisa, it would appear that the word is Shar Eved Mikabel Gita Aveda. The slave could receive the get of his friend, Miyad Rabbi Shal Aveda, from the master of his friend. Avullah Miyad Rabbi Shal, but not from his own master. So if let's say there are two slaves of the same master, then one slave would not be able to receive with the other slave because it wouldn't be leaving Rosh Hashanah and Shalai. But he could receive it from some other slave, so therefore it's not difficult why he can make a shliach to receive the get, because he also can receive a get. Here, technically, he just can't. because it's not leaving, then master's domain. And therefore that's different than the case of the karbanas, which you cannot do it at all, then as if you wouldn't be able to make the kam yishluchim to do the avodah themselves. Now, the Mishnah had said that in the opinion of Chacham, who said that the kesef is al dei atzmai, yeah, you could go ahead and do the kinyan. It's just that, like the Gemara quotes, it just has to be that the money has to be from others. So the Eved himself could free himself with money, and we said Afal de'echayim. We just said the Chiddush was Afal de'atzmai, but you have to make sure the money is from someone else. Says the Gemara, name about him. Let's say the Machlekes remain the Chachamim. If the Eved can free himself or not, is in the following point. To the mayor who said that by Kesef it's specifically through others, Sava he holds Ein Kenyan le'Eved b'le'Rabbi. There is no acquisition that a slave could have without his master. In other words, if someone gives this Eved Kanani a gift, his master automatically gets it. So therefore, even though the money is coming from others, it's not possible for the Eved to get it and then give it to his master to free himself. Because the moment he got it, the master got it. So he's not giving anything to the master to free himself. And so too, there's no acquisition that a woman could have without her husband, which as Rashi tells us that in general the king of a woman and her husband is similar to that of an Eved, because since the husband has the rights in her handiwork and in her mitzias, what she finds, so therefore just like there's a machlekes regarding when the Eved gets matana, you could say the same thing would apply to a woman. And with the Rabban hold that no. There could be an acquisition for a slave without his master if someone gives him a gift. Since there's das acheres, there's a different opinion over here, a different personality that's being makna, giving it to him. So this guy's not giving it that his master should get it. So this is belonging to the Eved. And now the Eved can redeem himself by himself. And the woman could have an acquisition without her husband. Seemingly that's machlekes remain the Chachamim. When he's getting money from somewhere else, which Chacham said, yes, the money has to be from someone else, because obviously all money belongs to the master. When someone else is giving you money, then you can redeem yourself, and Rebbe disagrees. Similarly, that's the machlekes. Could there be a kinyan for Eved b'lei Rabbi? Which Amar Rabbi Amavshesh says, no, not necessarily. The Kulam, we can say, according to everyone, Ein kinyan le'Eved b'lei Rabbi. No. If someone unspecifically gives money to a slave, you cannot have the slave will get it without the master. And you cannot say a woman acquires it without the husband. Automatically it's going to go to the master. But the Tuman over here is a specific case. The Aknid Le'achar, that someone else gave over a transfer of funds of a month of 100 dinarim to the slave, but amale, not stam, not unspecific. And he says that almanas she'ein ledam b'chreshus, but on the condition that your master has no rights in this money. Okay, now we have machlekes. The mayor said, when he told them, here, acquire this money, right away, the slave acquired it, the master acquires it. Now, when he now tells them, but on condition, it's too late. He hasn't told them anything. Because the moment the slave got it, the master got it. Rabban said, well, no, even though they have manas, but once he's telling him on the condition, his condition will be effective retroactively, that his intention was that only that he should acquire it himself, and that it shouldn't go to the master. Another shot, Rabbi Lazar, he says, no, it's not true. The case that you described of Almanas, the Kulam Pligi, no one's going to disagree. Just like you said, everyone agrees and not like the first shot we said, that the Machlekes is, if whatever someone gives is going to be Kaina Eved, Kaina Rabbi, not, you said no, automatically it's going to be Machlekes regarding Almanas. I hold in your case, no one's going to disagree the Kaina Eved, Kaina Rabbi. Not true, even if you say Almanas. The moment that the slave acquires it, the master is going to acquire it. So then, my skin, what are you talking about? What is the Machlekes? Someone else transfers the funds of 100 dinar to the slave. He tells him, not stam. It wasn't just on the condition that your master has no rights. But that he can't tell him your master has no rights. No, you're a slave, you automatically, the master's going to get it. You can't be with your own funds. The Amanas is differently. On the condition that you're going to go out free with it. The Meir holds it doesn't make a difference. When he tells him, here, go acquire it, it's already Kani Eved B'Kani Rabbi. Automatically, the moment he gets it, the master gets it. When he tells him on the Kidushin, he hasn't told him anything, it's too late already. The master already has it. For the ones that they hold, no, the day Nami, it's not true. Even for the Eved, they weren't transferring the funds to him. Because what did he ultimately tell him was only Amanasha Teitza B'Lecheres. On the condition that you go out with it to be a free man, meaning that you give it to your master and your redemption money. So therefore, that was never even an ability of Kana Rabbi, because even the Eved wasn't being kinded. He's like a shikingel. He's just like, here, bring it to the master, and therefore that's the third interpretation of what the machlekes is between Rabbi and the Chachamim. When someone else is being marked the money to the Eved, could he then go and we said free himself like the Atzma with Kesed? Meir said no. Chacham said yes. We have three machlekes regarding what's this machlekes. Either in general, when you give money to an Eved, could that be something that he could have without the master? Or do we say no, everyone agrees over there, no, the master automatically can get it, but he's saying Amanas that the master has no rights? Or we say no, even over there the master is automatically going to get it. The question is when he tells Amanas that you go free with this. And that's the machlekes regarding Remeir and the Chachamim, if he's going to go free that way, or do you say no, it's already the master already had it, he's not going to go free that way, I think it's anytime.
Okay.